Hello everyone and welcome to the Kiki London YouTube channel. My name's Amanda and in today's video we are going to be doing a builder gel set of nails with a whimsical Halloween vibe. So I really hope you all enjoy watching. Now I am going to be using quite a few different products in today's video, so I thought I'd show you them all at the start. So we're going to be using the clear rubber base coat on two of the nails, and then we're going to be using RB09, which is a milky white rubber base. Then we are going to be using the easy build up gel system. So here I'm going to be using neutral pink as the nail bed on two nails. To encapsulate, I'm going to use Crsytal Clear, and we're also going to use a little bit of Snowglaze in this design as well to create the layered whimsical look on two of those nails. We are also going to use some colors as well. So I've got Violet Dawn, Lavender Lust. All of these colors are quite similar, lilac-y purple shades. And then I've also got Cotton Candy. This one's a little bit more on the pink side. And then the last color I have is Dreamcatcher. If you want to recreate this look but you don't necessarily have these colors, anything with a pinky purple blue will work. I'm also going to add in a little bit of Snow Fairy into this look as well, which is one of the reflective gel polishes. And of course we're going to need some black for this design as well. So I've got Classic Black, which is from the Hema free range. So starting off, I am working on display press-on nail tips, whichever. These are press-on nail tips, but I'm using them just as display tips. So I've buffed the surface of these to remove the shine, as you will find your gel products stick better to your tips if you have buffed them, so you have a matte surface to work on top of. So I'm going to start off with the clear rubber base coat, and I'm going to apply this to two of the nails. And whenever I work with the rubber base coat, especially on the natural nails, I really like to scrub and work it into the prepped nail plate. Talking of prep, if you was doing this set on yourself or a client, you would of course need to do all your prep before your base coat. So I will leave the dedicated prep video I have up on the channel linked in the description box below. I'll pop it at the bottom, so if you are wanting to know how I prep my nails, I will leave that there for you guys. We're going to cure the rubber base coats for 30 seconds and then we're going to start our design. So I'm going to start off by taking Snowglaze and apply a thin layer of this on the two nails where we applied the milky white base coat. And this is because we're going to be doing a bit of a sandwich technique with our nail art design. So I want to have my gel polish design sandwiched between the two layers of easy build up gel, so our base layer and our encapsulation layer. So what I'm going to do is just do this in a thin coat, just covering the entire nail, and then once I've done that on both of the nails, I will pop this in to cure for 60 seconds. The easy build up gel does require a 60-second cure in an LED lamp, but if you are still working with a UV lamp, you would need to cure for 2 minutes. Then I'm going to take Snow Fairy and I'm just going to kind of smoosh this over the nail in various areas. I don't want to cover the entire nail with it, but I just want to just literally smoosh it on in random places. You are actually only going to see a hint of the sparkle, but in these layered nail art designs, in my opinion, every layer is important. So once we've got that done on those two nails, we're going to pop this in to cure for 30 seconds. And then we're going to take those four beautiful lilac-y pink shades and create a bit of a marble on our palette. Now we're not necessarily doing a marble design, so how you do this step can be entirely up to you. You might even only want to do it in 1 or 2 colors. I went with 4 just because I wanted it to have that whimsical look, and I felt as though having a few more shades there would help create that, but I did want it to look quite soft as well, so I didn't want like a detailed marble look. So we've marbled that together on our palette, and then I'm going to come in with the blooming gel. This is going to really help create that soft whimsical design. If you don't have blooming gel, I would highly recommend it because it softens everything a lot better than using, say, a base or top coat, especially when you are wanting to do more detailed marble looks. So once you've applied your blooming gel, you want to leave that wet, and then I'm going to pick up our gel polish colors using the round nail art brush, and again just kind of smoosh them down onto the nail, wriggling my brush in various directions just to help pull that gel polish off the brush into the wet blooming gel. So we're going to do this again on both the nails. When it comes to applying your blooming gel, you want to apply it nice and thin. You don't need to apply this thickly. So just a nice thin coat wherever you want your design to bloom. So a lot of the time I will apply this to the entire nail because I do find it helps everything look a little bit more even. Now, whilst I'm working on the second nail, I have left the first nail on the stand, so I haven't popped it into cure yet because this is going to give the nail a few seconds, and you can see it started to create this smoky soft look. Once I was happy with how both of those nails had bloomed, I popped them in to cure for 30 seconds, and then this is our design so far. I really felt as though these colors, you can kind of see each individual shade, but they worked so beautifully together to create a really nice soft layer. And with these whimsical looking nails, you want each layer to look quite soft. So I then took a layer of rubber base coat and applied this over the top of the nail. If you don't have the rubber base coat here, you could use your regular base coat. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dot on some flakies here and there on the nail, and I'm starting off with these darker bluey purple ones. And I recently tried out applying these with my dotting tool, and it is so much easier than applying them with the brush. A lot of the time I used to use my round nail art brush, and I find what happens is it picks up quite a few flakes because flakes are very fine. And then you end up applying a lot more to the nail than what you want. But the game changer with applying them with the dotting tool is the dotting tool is so much easier to clean flakes off. I will show you guys after we've finished applying them. The flakes don't stick into the bristles and you end up with a glittery brush. I do find because flakes are quite fine, no matter how much you clean them out of your brushes, you will always find some. So if you haven't tried it already, do try applying them with your dotting tool. I was going to say detail brush, your dotting tool. And here you can see I'm just taking an alcohol wipe, giving that a good wipe over, and it is back to being lovely and clean. We did pop that base coat and flake mix in to cure for 30 seconds, and then I'm coming over the top of this nail with another layer of Snowglaze. Again, another thin layer. We are building up the structure here in a way with the nail, so you are building up the strength, the length, the structure with your builder gel, but you still want to keep your layers nice and thin because the amount you're doing in this design. But adding this layer of Snowglaze, what it does is it's going to soften the look of the gel polish marble and those darker color flakes, and then it's adding a lot of dimension to the nail. Once it's all come together, encapsulated, buffed and top coated, you'll see what I mean. But I'm just going to keep this nice and thin and apply it to the entire nail on both nails, and then we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds. And especially with those flakes, you can see it's really softened it, but it has also softened the edges of the marble and things like that as well. So again, we're going to cure this for 30 seconds, and then we're going to come in with another layer of this. In this layer, however, though, I'm going to apply some more flakes, but this time a lighter iridescent shade. So what this step is going to do is, again, it's going to soften everything because we're working quite thin with the layers. We're not adding too much bulk to the nail, but we're getting that pigmentation from the color coming through. And then again, taking my dotting tool, I'm going to pop on some lighter color flakes, and again this creates that 3D dimensional look, especially where I'm popping them over the top pretty much of the darker ones underneath. So we're going to do that on both nails, keeping everything, like I said, nice and thin. You want to try and keep the sides of your nail quite thin as well, so you don't want to apply too much builder gel so that it's flooding the side walls. But if this does happen, you can file off any excess. So once we have dotted these flakes down, you'll see there I wiped off some of the excess because I've got gloves on. Please do not do this if you've not got gloves on, because you don't want to be getting uncured products on the skin. So then this is what those nails look like once that layer had cured, and I really loved the whimsical effect that these had. So we're then going to come in and encapsulate. Now when it comes to encapsulating layered nail art, you might find that you don't need your usual thick encapsulation layer or thicker encapsulation layer, but because we are working on quite long nails, if you was working on this length nails on yourself or a client, you would still need to make sure that you've built up the strength and structure of the nail so that you don't get any breakages, you don't get any breakdown of the nail or any snapping of the tip, especially if you've sculpted as well. You want to make sure that you've built up that apex. So what I'm doing to do this is I'm going to come over and apply a slip layer. So this is a thin wet layer of gel that you apply to the entire nail, and this is going to help guide your builder ball of gel down to where you want it to go. So I'm applying this to the entire nail but keeping it fairly thin, and then I'm going to pick up a ball of gel on my brush and bringing it to the bottom half of my brush, and then just using a circular wriggling motion I'm going to start wriggling this down. Now I've already looked and assessed the nail and seen where I need to build up, and it is predominantly that apex area and down the center of the nail. So that's where I'm focusing my builder gel. And then sometimes what I'll do as well is I will hold the nail upside down for a few seconds just to help pull that gel into the center of the nail where you want the strength and structure to be. So in the back third for your apex and down the spine of your nail. Then once we have encapsulated, we're going to pop those in to cure for 60 seconds. And that is those two nails finished for now. On to the next two nails in this design, I'm coming in with neutral pink. And I want to apply this down at the nail bed area, because if this was on a natural nail, I would want to cover up the nail bed area a little bit. It is a softer, more translucent pink, but when you are working over the color of a nail bed, it does have a little bit more coverage to it than what it does here on the clear tips. So it does help cover up any imperfections that might be on the natural nail and help cover where the free edge would meet your extension or your sculpted tip. So what I'm doing here is I did my slip layer, but I didn't take it all the way down to the tip of the nail. I kind of just floated and worked it off a roughly 3/4 of the way down the nail, and then I'm coming in with a little bit more gel just to build up this nail bed area. We are going to do this in 2 coats, but I'm going to do both the nails first of all. So you'll see here I've got my slip layer, then I'm coming in with my first layer of the builder, and I'm just building up that apex area. And a lot of the time when I am working on longer nails where you do need to build up a bit of a higher apex for the strength, I will do this in 2 coats. Here we are going to encapsulate, but I'm not going to be encapsulating that nail bed and apex area fully, so I want to make sure that I'm building up some strength and structure. So this was the first coat. We cured those for 60 seconds, and then we're coming in doing a second coat. So again, starting with that slip layer and kind of just blending it into the clear tip just very roughly. You're not going to see where it ends necessarily, so it didn't need to be like an ombre, but I didn't want there to be a harsh line where that pink stops. So we've got our slip layer down, and then I'm just working this product from side to side, going down the nail, focusing a lot of the product in the back third, and then just gently bringing the top of that bead of gel further down the nail. And then I'm kind of just looking all around and nudging the gel where I need it to go to help build up the apex and keep the apex in that back third and center part of the nail. So we're going to do this again on this now. So coming in with our slip layer, keeping it nice and thin, and then picking up our ball of builder gel. I always like to pick this up on that bottom half of the brush. So I'll wipe one side of the brush off, so you can see this side of the brush that you can see has hardly any product on there, and then I'll brush half of the other side off, and then this pushes the ball of gel to the bottom part of your brush, and then this way you have a lot more control over where that ball of gel is going. And then again, we've cured that for 60 seconds, and that is kind of like our nail bed area done. We're then going to take our blooming gel and apply this to the tip part of the nail. Now, one thing that I forgot to do on this design was I forgot to put a clear layer underneath. Ideally, you want to have a clear layer going over your tip unless you've sculpted. So kind of just picture here that we're working on a sculpted extension, but if you had applied tips, what I would have done after my clear rubber base coat, I would have done a thin clear layer over the entire nail with the easy build up gel. But going back to the design, I've applied my blooming gel to the tip part of the nail, and then applied classic black over the top of that, and then taking my stripe liner brush, I'm going to create this black smoky look so that I'm just pulling it down over the neutral pink. So this is why it didn't matter too much that there was a sort of gap where that pink stopped and the clear started. We didn't have to worry about creating a really pretty ombre or anything like that, because you're not going to see it, because you're pulling the black down over the neutral pink to create this really soft smoky look. I really liked how this turned out. I don't think I've done anything like this before, so I definitely need a little bit of practice creating that smoky look, but you can see what I'm doing is just gently pulling it down into the base coat so that it softens at the very tips of the flame smoky effect that we're going for. So I'm going to pop that one aside, let it bloom a little bit more, because I did want it to soften a little bit more. And then we're going to come in and work on the second nail. So same again, thin coat of blooming gel just on the tip end of the nail, and then taking classic black, applying that on the tip of the nail, and then just working and pulling the gel polish down using the stripe liner brush, kind of wriggling and like a little bit of an S motion to try and create that smoky effect. And then you don't want to mess up the tip end of the nail because you do want this part to look quite opaque. So I'm trying to not pull too much gel polish down from that very tip of the nail, but it is going to mix in with the blooming gel, so it is going to bloom. So I do come over the top with a little bit more black after we have cured this coat. Again, I did leave this to bloom for a little bit before popping it in to cure. And then, like I said, once we have cured the first coat, I'm going to come in again with a little bit of black just on the very, very tip of that nail. And then I'm going to take the stripe liner brush again and pull this down just because I want a little bit more coverage where the very tip of the nail is. I don't want it to look too see-through where it has mixed in on the first coat with that blooming gel. So you want to be really careful doing this, that you don't pull too much of the black down, because obviously it's not going to create that smoky effect without the blooming gel being there. So just use a nice light stroke with your brush, and then again we're going to pop that in to cure for 30 seconds, and then that is this design on these two nails finished. I have just left a little clip here so you guys can see what it looks like, and you can see here that little bit of extra coverage on the second coat really made a lot of difference with helping the smoky look. But I did much prefer how the right hand side of the nail looked. So the nail that's on the right hand side, I think the smoky effect just worked a lot better. Now we are going to come in and encapsulate. So I'm applying my slip layer over the entire nail, but like I spoke about when I was doing the neutral pink part of this nail, we don't need to fully encapsulate the entire nail. We've built up our strength and structure with the neutral pink, so I just need to build up the rest of the strength and structure on the very tip of the nail. So that's predominantly where I'm focusing my builder gel layer. And then I'm going to hold it upside down just to help self-level that. And that was also why I done the slip layer as well. So it does blend in nicely to the neutral pink. Now I did do that on both of the nails and cured both of those for 60 seconds. So now all of our builder gel work is finished. I'm going to come in and just do a little bit of filing just to even out my application. So I wiped over the nail with an alcohol wipe just to remove that tacky inhibition layer that's left behind from curing. And then I'm going to start off with the 100 grit side of my file, fix up the shape a little bit because we had lost the shape of the edges when we were doing all of our layers. And then what I like to do with my filing is I'll come up one side, go around the cuticle and apex area. This really helps you blend your cuticle area in and get a nice flush cuticle. And then I'll come up the other side, and then I'll just go over the entire nail really gently, focusing on any areas that look a little bit uneven. And then I like to come over the top with my buffer as well, so I'll do exactly the same motion with the 100 grit side and then just go over with the 180 grit side. Now once I had done that on all of the nails, on the two whimsical looking ones, I wanted to add on a little bit of stamping just to help pull in the whimsical Halloweeny vibe. Now if you are any good at hand painting, you could hand paint these details on. Because I'd already done quite a long video, I decided to stamp them on just because hand painting does take a little bit longer to do. You could also use water decals as well if you wanted to. I opted for stamping just for the look. I wanted to make sure that I had some kind of layer on there just to help create that layered nail art. And I really loved how these two nails looked once they were top coated. So once we have finished off the stamping on these two nails, I just wanted to show you guys here as well. Once we finish stamping the second image on this one, you'll see that I made a little bit of a mistake with the stamping polish. There's a little black dot in that moon that's not meant to be there. So what I'll do is I'm going to take my round nail art brush with a little bit of the Kiki London gel polish remover. This is great in replace of acetone for cleaning up any mistakes with your stamping. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that on my round nail art brush, and as you can see, it removes that effortlessly. It is also what I'm using to clean my stamping plates with as well. I didn't want to add any additional nail art to the two smoky nails, so we're just going to come in now and top coat, and I'm top coating today using the No Wipe rubber top coat. So I'm just going to apply a thin even layer of this to all of the nails. This is a thicker consistency product, so I do love using it over the rubber rubber base coat and the easy build up gel, especially when I'm working on my own nails, as the whole system combined just creates a really strong extension, especially when you are extending with tips or sculpting. So we're just going to apply that to all of the nails, pop this into cure for 60 seconds, and then that, guys, is the end of the video. As always, I will leave all the products I've used tagged and listed in the description box below, so do check that out, as well as any recommended videos as well, and as well links to the Kiki London Instagram and Facebook page. So do check out the description box below for all of that information. If you did enjoy today's video, please do give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment below, and if you're not already subscribed to the channel, I would absolutely love it if you did. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love. Take care. Bye bye.